Okay, so welcome. This is week 50 of the Longcat weekly improvisation, stealing a bit of time. This is me stealing a bit of time to do this. Yeah, in theory I don't really have time to do it right now, but I need to. I need to. So this week I've been listening a lot to Scott Walker. Yeah, Scott Walker. Both the beautiful melodic 60s Scott and the more far out, less melodic, more contemporary Scott. Also been, I just want to mention a few headlines I've read this week, which basically seem to point out where the world is at. I think I've got 4 things to say. Basically, the first one, Israel resumes airstrikes on Gaza. Kind of speaks for itself, makes me sick. Makes me absolutely sick how the Palestinians are treated in this world. And lo and behold, once again, at a time when the rival groups within Palestine are fighting anyway, Israel decides to resume airstrikes on Gaza, an immensely powerful force, with no thought or consideration whatsoever for its enemy. So there you go, that kind of makes me sick. It's always made me sick, it continues to make me sick. One day may there be peace in Israel and Palestine. One day may there be peace within Israel and Palestine. But only so long as both sides actually want peace. That's what I reckon. There you go. That's just what I reckon. Seems to me Israel is not interested in peace. Okay, and then the second of which headlines that kind of made me go, hang on a minute, what's going on here? It wasn't so much a surprise again, it was the US opposing G8's climate change plans, which, let's be honest, the US administration has been willfully stupid for an awfully long time on this subject, but once again, I just thought, this makes me sick. Absolutely sick. They're so fucking stupid. It's amazing. Absolutely amazing. You are a donkey, Mr. Bush. And this brings me on to my third point, which is that Chavez, the Venezuelan president, is it Venezuela? I get confused in Latin America. In the last week shut down the opposition television network broadcaster. This is Chavez, who we have loved for saying things like, Mr. Bush, you are a donkey. You are the last human being. And this is Chavez, who is a socialist, so proclaimed. And he's shutting down the opposition television network. And this is a very, very bad sign. And I'm concerned for you, Mr. Chavez. Seems to me you're straying from the path. Seems to me you're straying from the path. Seems to me you're straying from the path. Okay, the fourth thing, I'm saying them all in very quick succession because I don't have a great deal of time today. Is ex-President Carter telling it how it is, both about the US administration but also about our very own Tony Blair, which is really refreshing. A lot of people will say how stupid and how dangerous George W. Bush is, but few Americans bother to point out how subservient Tony Blair is to George Bush, and therefore how dangerous. So, the Longcat Weekly Improvisation salutes you, ex-President Carter, and I do hope you carry on saying it how it is. Thank you. All right, enough words. Just time for a little bit of playing. We are on the Fender Rhodes. This is week 50. This is the Longcat Weekly. This is the Longcat Weekly Improvisation. Oh, Chavez, what are you doing? Cause you know power corrupts. It's a cliche, but it's very, very true. Power does corrupt, Mr. Chavez. Cause you know power corrupts. It's a cliche, but it's true, Mr. Chavez. Power corrupts. And you've been in power for a while. Shutting down the opposition television station. I mean, it's absolutely appalling that Israel is airstriking against Gaza, but let's be honest, we kind of expect that of Israel. Mr. Chavez, we do not expect this of you. You are letting us down. Mind you, this is slightly old news. I read this on the weekend, and for all I know, he might have backed down. Maybe he didn't shut it down in the end. Who knows? Just raising a note of caution. 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 'Cause power corrupts. Power corrupts. Mr. Chavez, Mr. Chavez, Mr. Chavez, Mr. Chavez, Mr. Chavez, power corrupts. Mr. Chavez, power corrupts. Mr. Chavez, power corrupts. Mr. Chavez. Power corrupts, Mr. Chavez. Power corrupts, Mr. Chavez. Power corrupts, Mr. Chavez. Surely you know this yourself, but maybe you're blinded to it. Certainly true of our great Prime Minister Tony Blair. I use the word great in an absolutely untrue and cynical way, of course. I met Tony Blair when he came to power. I was just working for an organisation that was raising money at the time, partly for charity, partly for the Labour Party, and I was, I was happy. It was an amazing thing when Labour came to power back then. But you get the feeling that almost as soon as Tony Blair stepped into office, he shed his socialist notions, those socialist notions that he did have, and it's just amazing, really, really amazing, looking back, how Tony Blair, who was once someone who I really do think had some far-reaching social ideas about this country, how very, very soon after getting into power, he was suddenly looking out for the banks and for the financial concerns of this great nation. And again, I use the word great in a cynical and untrue way. Listen, I better go. Just stealing a bit of time for this. This is week 20. No. Week 50, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for listening. It's been a bit ranty, but sometimes you just got to do that. Thank you.